How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the wild exchange between Rick Santelli and Andrew Ross Sorkin over on CNBC about virus regulations and the big time hypocrisy behind them. You all know about the hypocrisy. I've covered it many times on this channel, and I think this clip really gets down to the core of the argument. Okay, who can stay open, who must close, government doing whatever they want to do, but you as an individual, you can't do whatever you want to do. I think all of that is presented in this short clip, and you'll be able to identify with one side over the other. In my humble opinion, one side has facts, logic, basic reasoning, while the other side does not. They're just relying upon whatever the mainstream media wants you to know. Now, before I go any further, let's roll the clip. In this clip, you'll see what I was talking about. After we get done watching that, I'll talk about that clip, some hypocrisy. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
You can't tell me that shutting down, which is the easiest answer, is necessarily the only answer.
Rick, I just as a public health and public service announcement for the audience, the difference between a big box retailer.
Who is this?
Hold on. The difference between it's Andrew.
Who else?
The difference between a big box retailer. Hold on. The difference between a big box retailer and a restaurant, or frankly even a church, are so different. It's unbelievable. Going into a big box retailer,
I disagree.
You're wearing a mask.
You can have your thoughts and I can have mine.
You're required to wear a mask.
I disagree.
It's science. I'm sorry. It's science. If you're
It's
wearing a
not
mask,
science.
it's a different story.
500 people at a Lowe's aren't any safer than 150 people in a restaurant that holds 600.
Yep.
I don't believe it. Sorry. Don't believe it. And I live in an area where there's a lot of restaurants that have fought back and they don't have any problems. And they're open.
Okay. You don't have to believe it. But let me just say this. You're doing a disservice to the viewer because the viewers need to understand it.
You are doing a disservice to the viewer. You are. You are.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I would like to keep our viewers as healthy as humanly possible. The idea of packing people into restaurants.
I think our viewers are smart enough to make part of those decisions on their own.
Completely different
things. I don't think that I'm much smarter than all the viewers like some people do.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, this clip was wow, but I really identified with Rick Santelli 100%. He was like my spirit animal on television that day, okay? If you were to put me right there across from Andrew Ross Sorkin, I'd have been saying the same thing as Rick Santelli, all right? The crazy part, I think, where Santelli really just kind of snapped is where I would have snapped when you got Sorkin talking about, oh, well, it's okay for Home Depot to be open, but church, it ain't the same thing. It's like, what are you talking about? Okay, you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, what else? Sam's Club, Costco, Walmart, Target, wherever you go, these big box stores, people are packed in there from the window to the wall. I'm talking about elbow to elbow, packed like sardines, right? They touching stuff. Like if I'm in a grocery store or any kind of store that has items on the shelf, I'm probably going to be touching these items, putting them in my basket, probably putting the items back on the shelf if I don't want it. I might go in there for a garden hose or something and I see one better down the way, or I say I don't want it anymore. It's too expensive. I didn't even see the price. I put it back on the shelf, but I didn't touched it. You don't know where my hands been. I could have been in the bathroom doing number 2. I ain't washing my hands. I'm putting my hands on that item. You putting your hands on that item. You got kids touching the items, putting them in their mouth, putting them on the ground, all of that. Do you think that every piece of merchandise in the store is sanitized throughout the day or at all? Do you think that maybe the carts and the buggies and some of the doors and the floors are sanitized and clean? What about each individual item? Now you're talking about a church or outdoor dining. Is there a bunch of merchandise all over the place? Are you touching everything? So when he said, oh, it's different, I'm like, how is it different? Is it different because these big box stores got money, more money than maybe a small church or a small business, so they're allowed to stay open? I mean, that's kind of like where I'm looking at it, because they're talking about you can have a grocery store open because it's essential. You got to be able to eat. Well, what if I can't cook? And I'm being serious. I have to still be able to go eat, correct? Like, what are we doing? You can have fast food open. Now, granted, you can't go inside, but they're still able to operate because they have the drive-through lane. And really, you should still be able to eat inside because, I mean, all this touchless stuff, ain't no touchless delivery. Because if I'm bringing you food, at a certain point, I had to touch it. I had to touch it to put it, to fix it, number one, to package it, number two, to put it in the bag, number three, then to bring it out to you, number four. If I, cook it, package it, put it in the bag, and then put it in a plastic bin and tell you to go grab it, okay, I didn't touch it on the last step of the delivery process, of the production process, but I still touched it. All this stuff is just super dumb. It doesn't make any sense at all, okay? Even a guy like Anthony Fauci is saying, okay, open the schools up. Now, he did say close the bars, but open the schools up. Now, I understand the whole point about closing bars. Like, if you're going to have one closed, whether it be the bars or the school, close the bars. You got to have the school open. Kids have to be educated. You're missing out on the entire generation. Kids are missing the formative years of their youth, and you just saying, oh, well, you know what? We got the virus going on, so we got to do what we got to do. Although we know that the virus is not really impactful towards kids. It's just not, okay? Now, if a kid stay with their grandma or something like that, I don't know. Grandma got to put on some type of iron cloth over her face and, thug it out, because at the end of the day, we still have to be able to have society operate. We can't just shut ourselves down for forever. The whole slow to spread, flatten the curve thing was back in March, or almost 2021, and the time is flying by. Before you know it, it'll be years, and we still be wearing masks and still be shut down. And how can we even afford this? We already done spent at least bare minimum, probably more than this at this point, $6 trillion US dollars, okay, on this virus relief. And we're still going through it. They're talking about shutting down more. They're talking about round 2 of complete shutdowns. You got your man Joe Biden talking about 100 days of wearing a mask. I mean, all this is so dumb. The masks are proven to not necessarily be effective. Where they have put mask mandates in, the rate of infection and everything else has gone up. So it's like, what are we even doing? This is not really effective. It's not really helping. People trying to compare us to Japan and whatnot. Well, Japan is much healthier than the U.S. That's reality. Obesity is a rare thing in Japan, but it's coming over here. And what did they say is one of the top aggravating factors of the virus? Obesity, heart disease, diabetes, stuff like that, unhealthy lifestyle. Now they're talking about, when I say they, I mean the federal government and the so-called experts. Oh, you got to have better nutrition. You got to have a better diet. No, you don't say. We've been saying that from the beginning. Vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, everything else. We've been saying from the beginning. And now they're coming out and saying the exact same thing. They're even saying that HCQ, you know what I'm talking about, the drug that shall not be mentioned, also works when being able to combat and or prevent the virus. So all these things that we've heard, all these myths that have been put out there are now being busted. And the hypocrisy, we're done with it. We're completely 100% through. Like the mayor I was talking about earlier, went to Cabo San Lucas after he told his constituents in Austin to not go anywhere, reduce your travel, hunker down. But you in a whole private jet, sir, with 8 people, I don't know, your friends, family, or whatever. You're in a whole private jet down in Cabo San Lucas, hanging out, chilling. And then before that, you went to a party and or wedding with like 30 people. Oh, it was a small wedding, but I was told don't go nowhere. Don't have any kind of engagements like that. Same thing with Gavin Newsom in California. Oh, you guys, you got to stay home, slow the spread, flatten the curve. Meanwhile, you're at an indoor restaurant with 23 people, no masks, no social distancing, none of that type of stuff is going on. Then it came out, oh, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. A mistake? If I eat an entire pizza straight to the head by myself, and then somebody says, hey, you said don't eat pizza, but I saw you and I don't know, Fazoli's or something like that, just chomping down, scarfing it down, no drinking nothing. I'm talking about barbarian style. And then I come out and say, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But you did it. Like, you weren't sorry when you were doing it. You knew you shouldn't have been doing it because you're the one that is pushing the rules and regulations. So you can't claim ignorance. You're the one putting the rules out there, but you don't want to follow them. The same thing is all over the country. The mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot. It goes on and on and on and on. Garcetti, mayor of Los Angeles, denied, well, I don't know if it was him specifically, but LA, according to their so-called rules, denied a small business, a restaurant, to be able to even have outdoor dining. Outdoor dining. All the lady had was like a tent with open air, not even a closed-in tent with tables. You can't have that. And then right next to her tent and tables was another set of tent and tables for a film company, and that was fine to be open. But her restaurant, I'm talking about immediately next to it, got to be shut down. So now you're seeing favoritism. You're seeing big business making a bunch of money and small business failing. This is the ultimate goal, in my humble opinion, of some of these people, okay, to remain open, talking about I'm essential, all this, that, and the third, while small business suffers. So, if you're going to have Home Depot open, I should be able to have my place of worship open. Now you're getting into, First Amendment issues, freedom of religion. Now you're going down a whole deep, dark, dangerous road. You don't want to become a third world nation where freedom of religion ain't really a thing, where you got to have one religion or no religion, and that's it. You don't want to become China, where you might get locked up for being a particular religion, Muslim. But anyway, as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Rick Santelli for holding his ground against Andrew Ross Sorghum, because what he was saying was really ridiculous. And I hope that people are able to identify the hypocrisy coming from the left, because that's all they have at this point. Do as I say, never as I do. No, if you're not going to do what you want me to do, I'm not going to do it either. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you agree with Andrew Ross Sorkin, the guy that was saying, nah, man, it's okay, we got Home Depot, pat from the window to the wall, but don't go to church? Do you agree with him? Or do you agree with Rick Santelli that was saying, look, if you're going to have Home Depot, Pat, why not have church? Okay, you can't tell me that Home Depot with 600 people is more safe than a church with 150 members in there. You can't tell me that. Science is not on your side. Don't try to say believe the science. Science is not on your side when you say a thing like that, Andrew Ross Sorkin. Or am I wrong here? Am I right here? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. The hypocrisy is, I'm done with it. I'm over it. If the so-called experts like Fauci wear a mask, sometimes they don't. They keep changing their mind, flip-flopping on schools and all this. If the elected officials, the mayors, the governors do whatever they want to do while telling you something different, how about I do whatever I want to do? Why not? I'm not breaking any kind of law. I'm going to be a lawful person, but I'm not going to abide by your quote unquote suggestions or rules if you don't want to do it. Like I said, I'm a lawful person. I'm not advocating for law breaking. All I'm advocating for is if your people in power don't want to do a particular thing, ask yourself, why should you do it? But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.